Hari Om. We'll chant the Shanti mantra. Om Vangme Manasi Pratisthita Mano Me Vachi Pratishthitam Aviravirma Edhi Vedasya Ma'ani Isthaha Shrutam Me Ma Prahasi Anenadhitena Horatran Sandadhami Ritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanmamavatu Tadvaktaramavatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram Avatu Vaktaram Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We shall chant the 12th mantra from the third section. Sa etameva simanam vidaryai Sa etameva simanam vidarya etaya dvara prapadyata saisha vidrutir nama dvastadetannadannam tasya traya avasatha astraya swapnaha ayamavasatho ayamavasatho ayamavasatha iti. So the story of creation is being told. The entire, what you call, right from creation and how one gets bound in this samsara and how one becomes free, the entire story is being told. So in the beginning, before this world which we see as is experienced as of many names and forms. So many names, so many forms we experience as this world. So before it came into this names and form, it was only Atma alone. Everything was that Atma alone. There was nothing other than the Self. Self alone was there in the beginning. Atma va eka eva agra asit na anyat kinchana mishata. And that Atma with his own Shakti is called Ishvara, and Ishvara then projected this world with his own power, what we call Maya or Prakriti. And the process is given here in detail. So first the four worlds were created, then the Virat Purush with all the Lokapalas, and they are the protectors of all the different fields, the respective sense organs, and then he, what you call the ashna and pipasa, hunger and thirst, they were also united with each of these Lokpalas. And then he presented a cow, then a horse, and then finally a human being, a human structure. And the devatas, they liked it very much. And then they were told to enter their respective field. So the eyes, ears, nose, their devatas, they entered. And then Bhagavan thought that all this is made, but for whom? What is my role? Who am I? All this, they function for somebody else, and that somebody else is me only. So Bhagavan decided to enter this, this structure, this being, the outer being who was made, all the different parts, all the parts were assembled together, just like we have assembly line. Even a car and all is made, everyone is involved in making different parts, and all of them are joined together. And then it is handed over for the owner to use. Similarly, here Bhagavan made this beautiful human body and all other bodies. Then he entered this. He decided to enter. So he entered from the top. So, sa etam eva semanam vidarya etaya dvara prapadyata. Through this dwara he entered. And therefore it is called Vidhruti, this dwar. And it is also a place of supreme bliss, because that is the dwar from where Ishvara himself entered. And then, after entering, he has 3 places where he resides, and 3 experiences, what we call swapna. Jagrat, swapna, sushupti, all 3 are called swapna here, because they are like swapna only. So he resides in these 3 avasthas in 3 different places. In the Jagrat avastha, he resides in the right eye. In the Swapna avastha, he resides in the throat. Shankaracharya ji also, instead of throat, he says in the middle of the mind. Because in the dream, the mind plays a important role. So one can say that Ishvara resides in the mind, but the substratum or the source of that mind is the heart. So in the deep sleep state, Ishvara resides in the heart. In fact, its main residence is the heart only. But taking the equipment or the upadhis, he functions in the waking and the dream state. So ayam avasatha, ayam avasatha, ayam avasatha iti. So these are the 3 places where Bhagavan resides. Then what? Then let us see what happened. Sajato bhutani abhivekhyata kim iha anyam vavadishad iti sa etameva purusham brahma tatamam apashyata idam adarsham iti. Sajato bhutani abhivekhyata. So Ishvara, having born in this body, means having entered this body, he identifies with all the what you call the elements, the upadhis. Bhagwan, after entering this body, he identifies with the upadhis, the body, the mind, the intellect, the senses, and from within he experiences this world. Kim iha anyam va vad ishaditi. He mentions that that who else is there here other than me? Let us try to understand this. Or further we go. Sa etam eva purusham brahma tatamam apashyat. Then later on, Ishvara comes to recognize this Brahma. Idam adarsham. He comes to see this Brahma. So here the entire journey is briefly in this one verse itself. The bondage as well as liberation is given in this verse. So first try to understand bondage. What exactly is our bondage? How are we bound? And how we can become free? See, Ishvara has created this world and he himself has entered this body. So the one who is in this body, who is experiencing this world, is Ishvara himself. All of you sitting here looking at me is Ishvara. You are experiencing this world through your eyes, through your ears, through your nose. The difference is only difference in upadhis. What you are experiencing and what I am experiencing is different because of the difference in upadhis. The experiencer is same, because the upadhis are different, it appears to be different. It's like the same person looks through different glasses. The image outside appears to be different. If you look through the green glass, it appears different. Look through blue glass, it appears different. Suppose at one time I use the green glass goggles, I see everything green. That is the easier way of making everything green. Then I remove that goggle, wear blue glass, I see everything blue. So the I, myself, am seeing green as well as blue, depending on the upadhi. So similarly, Ishvara, though one, because of the difference in upadhis, he experiences different things. So in some upadhi he is experiencing joy, in some other upadhis he is experiencing sorrow, in some upadhis he is experiencing waking state, somewhere in dream, somewhere deep sleep. So being one itself, in all these so many different upadhis, he experiences difference. Just as the sun, though one, when we see the reflection of the sun in millions of different water bodies, depending on the nature of the water and the condition in that surrounding, the same sun appears to be different. Same sun expresses in different way. So similarly, Ishvara, though one, appears many because of the difference in the upadhis. So after entering this body, he looks at this world, looks at this body and all, and has got little confused. I mean, we should not say such thing about Ishvara, but we can say about you. You are all confused. You means I am also included, huh? So, what is the main basic our confusion? Confusion, the cause of confusion we will first see. What is the basic cause of our confusion? Is not knowing ourselves. That's called avidya, ignorance. We don't know ourselves. We have to, we know I am, that I am existing. That much we know, each one of us. Each one of us, we know we exist, but exactly who am I, we don't know. How do you say we don't know? Let us analyze this. For example, in the waking state, if I ask you, who are you? You will give a big list of things. Even when I go for my talks and all, I have printed one thing. They keep on reading that. I have heard it so many times, I get tired of listening to it. Swamiji, so and this and that, and all those things. So in the waking state, if somebody asks you, who are you? You give an answer. But then when you go to sleep, you dream. Let us say in your dream you are swimming. But when you wake up, you find yourself in your bedroom. No, not in a swimming pool. So if you are asked, who are you? Are you the one who is sleeping here? Or are you the one who was swimming there? You will get little confused about it. Because you yourself have experienced yourself as swimming, and you yourself experience yourself as awake. But still we reject that portion and we say, no, I am in my bedroom only. That was just a dream. That was not real. Though in my dream, if suppose somebody had come and asked, what are you doing? I would have said, I am swimming. I will not say that I am sleeping in my bed. I am swimming. But when I wake up, I say, no, that was wrong. I am really awake only. I am here in this bedroom. Okay, so little vagueness is there about our dream. But when I go into deep sleep state, that is also my experience. What were you when you were in deep sleep state? What is your experience? So everyone universally experiences, they experience bliss. Sukhena maya nidra anubhuyate. I slept peacefully, happily, in deep sleep state. I experienced great bliss. So there was bliss in deep sleep state. There was no connection with the body, mind, intellect, senses. So I existed without my upadhis, without connection with my upadhis. In deep sleep state, I existed without any connection with my upadhis. And even though I was not connected with the upadhis, I experienced bliss. That means this bliss is my nature only. Everyone experiences bliss. Whatever be the condition of your body, mind, intellect in the waking state, if you are in deep sleep state, you experience bliss. Disconnected with this upadhis, as I am, free from all these upadhis, I experience bliss. Again, another interesting thing. When I wake up from my sleep, I remember that I had slept. That means I don't say that I was not there. I was there. I slept. And I also know that I was not aware of anything. That knowledge is also there. Knowledge of absence of the upadhis was also there. This is very important and interesting, that I am not only of the nature of bliss, but I am also of the nature of knowledge. Since I was not identified with the buddhi, I was not using that buddhi. Since I was not identified with the senses, I was not using the senses. But I was of the nature of knowledge. So that's I who am in this deep sleep state. That is my nature without any connection with the upadhis. That is I as pure Ishvara. In Mandukya Upanishad also, the Upanishad says that this is Ishvara. But when I wake up, I immediately identify with the body, with my buddhi, with my mind, with the ego, and I say that is I. I identify with the buddhi and body and all and say that that is I. The nature of the body, mind, intellect is superimposed on that real I, and I say I am like this. I am a man. One who was asleep was neither man nor woman. But when I wake up, I say I am a man, I am a woman, I am happy, I am unhappy, I know, I don't know. So the nature of the body, mind, intellect, senses are superimposed on that self which was present in deep sleep state in its pure form without any connection with the upadhis. That self is called pradnya. Or in Bhagavad Gita, it is called kshetrajna. In Gita, Bhagavan calls that as kshetrajna. So the kshetrajna is Ishvara only, but he is also accompanied with little bit of his ignorance, avidya. So therefore, when I wake up, I identify with the body, mind, intellect. And this identification is not only of one lifetime, it is of many lifetimes. From beginningless, I have been identifying with my buddhi, mana, and getting new sharira and identify with that sharira. So, I don't have the proper knowledge about my own real self. Therefore, I keep identifying with what I am not, what I perceive. So this avidya is there, which has caused this confusion. And I keep living in this world, accumulating more and more desires, collecting more and more vasanas, and trying to fulfill those desires in different life forms. So this is my story. This is the story of all of us. We have been taking different types of life forms from past beginningless time. So here it is, when it is said Bhagavan created, it is not the first creation he is talking about. He created as it was before. So it is a cycle. So this cycle is going on from beginningless time. Anadi Mayaya Suptaha. In Mandukya Karika it is said that the jiva is as though asleep in this Anadi Maya. From beginningless time we are asleep. Even the word Purusha, one meaning of the word Purusha is Purishayanam. One who is asleep in this body is called Purusha. Purishayanam Atmanam, who is asleep in this body. So that is our story, that we are Ishvara when we are asleep in his pure blissful form with all everything. So I am of the nature of bliss, Anandarup. I am of the nature of jnana, because identifying with buddhi and indriyas, they become They have the ability to know because of my connection only. Just as the sun is of the nature of light, the water is not of the nature of light. When the sun gets connected with the water appears to be luminous. Water by itself is not luminous. Similarly, the sharir, man, buddhi, they are jada, inert. They don't have the capacity to know. That knowing capacity is there with me. When I identify with them, I use them as a knowing instrument. So buddhi is used to know, senses are used to know. So I am of the nature of bliss, I am of the nature of jnanam. And very interesting, suppose I want to know what you have experienced in your waking state. The self in me, the self in you is same. So I should be able to know what you are experiencing and where you are going and all. Whether you are really going for satsang or somewhere else. But I cannot know unless I ask. Because the mind which you have and the mind which I have is different. Your chitta, my chitta is different. Your buddhi, my buddhi is different. So that one who is experiencing, identifying with that body, mind, intellect, yours and mine, the experiences are different. So I cannot know your waking experience unless I ask you. Please tell me, what did you do today? Also, I cannot know your dream experience unless I ask you. Sometimes people without asking, they tell. Swamiji, I will tell you my dream experience, but please, I don't want to know. No, you listen. It was very interesting. Because in my dream, I was listening to a pravachan. So, unless I ask, I will not know what you are dreaming. But, now this is very important. What but? But, suppose you say, I slept well. I was in deep sleep state. Without asking you, I know what you are saying. Because your deep sleep state and my deep sleep state is one. When you are in deep sleep means dreamless sleep. The dreamless sleep of all beings is one. Because the experiencer of the dreamless sleep is one. So he is all pervading. This pradnya is not confined to my body only. He is all pervading. So he is ananta. He doesn't undergo any change and modification. Even when he identifies with the body, or when the qualities of the body is superimposed on that pradnya, it doesn't undergo any change or modification. Just like you imagine things on an object, like the example Shankaracharya ji gives of Shuktika Rajatam Yatha, like a mother of pearl, that shell is there, and one imagines that it is silver. The imaginary silver doesn't do anything to it. Or you imagine water on the sand. That imaginary water doesn't wet the sand. Similarly, you imagine the qualities of body, mind, intellect on the self. It doesn't influence or change the self. So the pradnya, that self, antaratma or kshetratnya, is of the nature of ananda, is of the nature of knowledge, is all pervading, is satya, it doesn't undergo any modification and change. So it is satyam, jnanam, anantam, brahma only. But this we don't recognize. When we wake up, we identify with our body, mind, intellect and continue with our life. So here, Bhagavan says that if by chance, in many, many lifetime, by chance, if we come in contact with a great master and learn, he says, Shankaracharya ji writes in his commentary, कि स कदाचित परम कारुणिकेन आचार्येण आत्मज्ञान प्रबोध कृत शब्दिकायां वेदांत महावाक्य भेर्यां तत्कर्ण मूले ताड्यमानायां, कि if this jiva comes in contact with a very compassionate master, and that compassionate master with the knowledge of Vedanta Mahavakya, when he tells him that who he really is, it is like a trumpet. When he conveys this knowledge to that jiva, who is that Purusha, Purishayanam Atmanam, who is asleep in this body. Ishvara or Purusha is asleep in this body, and Guru is one who wakes him up with the words of Upanishad. He wakes him up. You are not what you think you are, but you are that Brahma. Ki Atmanam Brahma Bruhattamam Tatamam Vyaptamam Paripurnam Akashavat Pratyabuddhyata Apashyat, that you are all pervading like space. You are that Paripurna Brahma. In this way, when that jiva who is sleeping is woken up by that Guru, then he wakes up, he comes to realize his own nature. So for this you have to contemplate and recognize that self which was free from upadhi in deep sleep state. Because in waking and dream we get so identified with the upadhis, we don't recognize that self in its purity as it is. Therefore the Mahavakya which is here, it can be appreciated, understood only when we understand, because that Prajnanam Brahma it is called later on. That Prajnanam, what the scripture is talking about, is this Prajna, this Pradnya, the Kshetrajna. So, when the jiva comes to know, sa etameva purusham Brahma, that this is that Purusha Brahma and that am I, apashyat, when he comes to see that Brahma as his own self, by the grace of the teacher, through Shravan Manan Nididhyasan, by following the proper path, when he comes to recognize his own self as Brahma, idam adarsham iti, that after T, that 3 number is given, that T 3 times, T Pluta it is called. Shankaracharya ji writes, it is to indicate vichar. After doing Vedanta vichar, after contemplating and see, there are 3 steps as I had mentioned before. Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan. Shravan is when we come to hear about it. Manan is when we contemplate and understand. And Nididhyasan, when we meditate on myself as that Brahma. So these 3 steps are there, very sublime, very deep, very esoteric, might take years together, only 3 steps, but might take a long time to walk these 3, because the problem is that a lot of possibilities are there. Lot of possibilities means lot of distractions are there in all these 3 steps. Shravan, Vedanta Shravan, finally we have to understand that Tattvamasi, that is the Shravan. But instead of that, we do all Shravan. Everything under the sun we listen. So in the bargain, we miss out the main thing which we have to hear. It is possible. We get distracted by too many words and too many literature. Too many things are there, too many pravachans. So we can get distracted by what exactly we have to hear, the Shravan. Then Manan is very difficult for many people. Exactly what we have to think and contemplate, we don't know. Very difficult. We find it easy, just sit, relax and listen. But to think and comprehend becomes very difficult. And sometimes we start thinking and also going in every direction. The more we think, the more questions we bring them. स्वामी जी बहुत सोचा और ये आपके लिए मैं भेंट लेके आया हूँ. So that is another problem. Then Nididhyasan is another thing. Nididhyasan is not dhyana. Dhyana is paying just attention, but Nididhyasan is that which is, this follows Shravan and Manan. Through Shravan, we come to hear who am I. Through Manan, we are convinced about it. So after conviction, Nishchayena Uprant. After conviction, what we do is called Nididhyasan. After conviction, when we assert, when we abide in our own nature, it is Nididhyasan. So for Nididhyasan, conviction is very important. For meditation, which we do in the world, that is just paying attention, focusing on one thing or just bringing some bhava and all. For that, it is a different story. But the Nididhyasan which Vedanta talks about, it requires Nishchay. Nishchay means conviction. That conviction comes through Mananam. Mananam becomes possible after Shravan. Shravan of the Tattvamasi, the main theme which this Upanishads tell us. Because this knowledge is revealed in the Upanishad. Who am I? To a large extent, I can understand. I can understand that I am this Kshetrajna. Through my own thinking and contemplation and meditation, I can understand I am Kshetrajna, and Kshetra is different from me. But to understand that Kshetra is Brahma and Kshetrajna is also Brahma, we need the support of the Upanishad. To understand that this prajna, this this Atma is Brahma. The Kshetra which we are seeing as Jagat is also Brahma. To understand this, we need the support of the scriptures. So that Shravan we do, then we do Mananam, we become convinced about it, and then followed by Nididhyasan. That Nididhyasan gives what we call Aparoksha Anubhuti, direct realization of that self as Brahma. So, sa etam eva purusham Brahma tatamam apashyat. That Brahma which is all pervading, that Brahma which is indicated in the scripture elsewhere as Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, which is avikari, which is beyond the senses, the mind, the intellect, cannot be comprehended by any of these means. That Brahma am I. That direct enlightenment happens. So idam adarsham, so he saw this after Shravan Manan Nididhyasan. He saw, who saw? Ishvara saw himself as that Brahma. Ishvara, who had become the Jiva, he came to know that I am that Brahma. So idam adarsham iti. So this is the entire story, entire picture. It began with that creation story. Then Ishvara entering the body and becoming the Jiva, and through knowledge gaining that state of enlightenment. One more verse in this section, telling the greatness of this knowledge and the special name given. Tasmat idandro nama idandro havai nama tam idandram santam indra ityachakshate parokshena paroksha priya iva hi devaha paroksha priya iva hi devaha. So that realized Master Ishvara himself as Jiva, when he comes to recognize his own self as Brahma, that self-realized Master is called here as Idandra. Tasmat idandro nama, idandro havai nama. He is called Idandra. Why is called Idandra? Because he has seen this idam. Idam is this Brahma, which was indicated here as idam Brahma. Because this realized Master, realized Jiva, has seen this Brahma, idam Brahma, he has seen, therefore he is called idam dra. Dra means drashta. Idam drashta, one who has seen this. This here refers to Brahma. So one who has seen this is called idandra. Just a name, Idandro havai nama. Tam indram santam. Tam idandram santam indra iti achakshate parokshena. That idandra itself is, the short form of that idambra itself is Indra. So he is also called Indra. Parokshena, as a indirectly. Just as we address someone superior to us, not directly by his name, like children and all, they don't call their parents directly by their name. Some do, but that is not proper. We call by some other name. That is our tradition, that those whom we respect and revere, we indirectly address them, not directly with their name. So here, Idandra is named as Indra. Indra iti achakshate parokshena. Because paroksha priya iva hi devaha. Because the devatas, they are paroksha priya. They don't like things to be told directly. They like this indirect speech. It's just some extra information. So devatas, they are paroksha priya. They will not say something directly. Once that in Brahmaji also, he came, all these three people, representatives of the human being, the devatas and the asuras, they approached Brahmaji, Manushya, king of the humans, then Indra and Virochan. All three went to Brahmaji. They said, please, you are our father. please give us knowledge. So he just said, the. He said the to the humans, he said the to Indra, and the to the asuras also. हो गया? हाँ हो गया. इतना ही बस. I have brought such thick notebook to write all the notes. You just said the, yes. Chalo. They went back. So human beings, they came down and they asked their teachers, कि ब्रह्मा जी ने द कहा है, what is the meaning? Because they didn't give direct knowledge, थोड़ा सा indirectly hint दे दिया. So he said human beings are very greedy. That is one of their negative point. See, we have काम, क्रोध, लोभ. These are all three नरक के द्वार. In Gita, Bhagavan says. But out of these three, human being, they are totally greedy. They want more and more and more. They are not satisfied with little things. They want more. So, Brahmaji has given advice, the means dana karo. Share it with others. Whatever you have, give it to others. Don't keep it with yourself. Dan, the. That will be beneficial for you. Then Indra also went and he asked his guru, he said the, as advice to all the devatas. I don't know what it means, so you please tell. He said the devatas are very indulgent. They keep indulging in various pleasures. So the means dhamma, restrain. Control your senses. Restrain yourself. That is what Brahmaji has taught, indirectly. Then, कौन बच गया? हाँ, Virochan, Asuras. So they went to ask the teacher, the का मतलब क्या है? So he said, daya. Because Asuras, they are very cruel, dusht, keep on troubling others. So you should have some compassion in your heart. That is your practice. So though it was said the, it meant differently for different. So he didn't say directly, indirectly. So the devatas, they like this indirect. Paroksha priya eva hi devaha. It's a very famous statement. So here also is that one who realizes the self is called Idandra because he has idam drashta. He has seen this Brahma as his own self. But instead of calling him Idandra, one da is removed and Indra. Indra. Idam drashta. So thus concludes this section. Now comes another section. Now, in this following chapter, the scripture gives an example because this whole story and then recognizing the self and all those things, it may sound little difficult to comprehend. So some example is given. That is one thing. Very beautiful example is there of how that realization happened to whom. Another, suppose we don't gain that state of enlightenment. If a jiva doesn't recognize his own self as Brahma, then what happens? How is this, you say this transmigration and all. So how this transmigration happens, that is also is conveyed in the following various mantras. Here very important is that in the beginning there is one instruction given that if there are any pregnant ladies, pregnant women who are there, they can please leave. So here also if anybody falls under this category, you should leave. Only for these 2-3 mantras you can leave, then thereafter you can come back. Because what is conveyed here may not be good for you if you are pregnant. That is the meaning. And our Pujya Gurudev also mentions in his commentary that this Brahma Vidya was not meant only for man or something. It is meant for everyone. In the good old days, man, woman, all of them used to come and study this. So that proof is there even in the Upanishad. So proof is there in the Upanishad that it is meant for everyone. So let us see this. Upakramantu garbhinyah Purushe hava ayam adito Garbho bhavati Yadetat retah Tad etat sarvebhyah Angebhyas tejah Sambhutam Atmannevatmanam Bibharti Tad yada striyam Sinchati Athaina janayati Tadasya prathamam janma. Now, let us just see the literal translation of this. Ki purushe hava ayam adito garbho bhavati. First, this Purusha becomes Garbha, the seed, the semen in the father's body. Yad etad retah tad etat sarvebhyo angebhya tejah, and that is the teja of the entire body. The essence of the entire body becomes the seed in the father's body, and then that is placed in the mother's body, and then that is called Tadasya Prathamam Janma, that is his first birth. This sounds little first birth, and then the scripture will talk about second birth and third birth also. So before we go into this, let me tell you in my own words. See, when a person is born, when we die, let us start from our death only. When one dies, that jiva who dies, he goes through various paths. In our Upanishads and other scripture, it is mentioned, even in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan mentioned, when a person dies, there are various possibilities. Either he goes by the path of the moon, path of the sun. Path of the moon means wherein he goes and again returns and becomes a human being. He goes to Swarga or goes to other lokas and then again come back. That is the path of the moon. Then there is path of the sun, wherein one goes to that loka of Hiranyagarbha or Brahma lok and doesn't return. There itself, then taught by Brahmaji, attains moksha. It's called Krama Mukti, it is called. Or a person dies and immediately is born again. Or a person dies and for some time he doesn't get a body. He remains in limbo for some time. In Bhagavad, there is a story of one person who remained like that, Dundukari or someone. Right? Preta yoni like. So various possibilities are there. So it is said that when a person dies, how does he come back into, how does he take birth? It is said, I will just literal what is said in the scriptures, that when it rains and all, along with the rain he comes down. That jiva enters the body of these herbs and vegetables and all. And when it is eaten by the person, it enters the body. So, the person who eats it, that jiva enters our body. Now, in our body also, so many jivas have entered. All that which you have eaten, the jivas, they enter the body of different beings. So, let us say, I, who is born here, must have fallen down with the rain. Then my father ate. That became the blood and all, and finally the seed. And then that first birth is when I was in my father's body, and then it was offered into the mother. So that is considered as the first birth. Then when I am in the mother's womb, that is my second. And when I am born through the mother, that is considered as second birth, which will come later on in other mantra. And then when I die, and again I am born in the next yoni, it's called third birth. Means a person is again and again, a jiva is again and again born. So first we are born, we enter the body of our father. Then we enter the body of our mother. Then we are born, we live our life, again we die, again we go into those various paths. After our karmas get exhausted, again we come down and we take birth. This is in a very gross way, simple way, the scriptures are conveying that if we are not enlightened, then we are born again and again in different life forms. I think we will leave it at this point, and we will continue with this tomorrow, because all these mantras have to be taken together to comprehend exactly what he says. So here the scripture not only talk about the life cycle, which we call samsara, to be born again and again, but also gives an example of a very wonderful realized master who gained realization in the mother's womb itself. So that we will see tomorrow. Again, one announcement, that after listening to this and after listening to many other pravachan given by me and by others also, but mainly by me, if you have any questions, any doubts, you write it down on a piece of paper and give it tomorrow. Because this portion will also get completed, I should have something to talk about. So, you give your questions and hand it over. You can somebody can collect the questions, and tomorrow we will discuss those questions also. And now we'll conclude with meditation. Close your eyes. become aware of Ishvara within you. You as Ishvara. When you are awake, you identify with the body and call yourself man or a woman. You identify with the senses and become the seer, the hearer. You identify with the mind and become the feeler. Identifying with the intellect, you think, you understand. You do the vyavahar of knowing, but you are the knower. Intellect is not the knower. Mind is not the knower. They are just inert equipments. You are the knower. When you are in deep sleep state, you drop all the instruments and remain not doing anything, not knowing anything, not doing any vyapar of knowing, not doing any vyapar of acting or feeling. That you who are in the deep sleep state, free from the upadhis, experiencing bliss, that you are Ishvara. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.